if you want to enhance the introduction, go ahead, Joseph. The stage is yours.
Thanks. Well, first off, thank you for to the crew that brought me on here, Dave, Larry, Sean, reaching out earlier this year and asking if I'd be interested in coming on. Like like Larry mentioned, I love getting in front of everyone and working with people, teaching, instructing, and this year's been one of those years that's been really tough for all of us. So, you know, it's great to see all of you in here and some new faces, some old faces, the familiar faces and names on here. It's fantastic to see everyone thriving in this time. So yes, like Larry mentioned, I love to teach and instruct. Post-processing, any kinds of questions, I love, there's some participants in here tonight that I've had in some of my courses. So, and once this year once the kind of situation transitions, I'm looking forward to being able to get into the field and do more of that again with individuals. But yeah, and so just a little kind of commentary here. My website, it's josephroybal.com. If you did photographer, and no problem, Larry, on that. But he's a good one too, but a little different on that. So just to make that quick note. But what I was going to do is, Dave, do I have a screen share option here real quick?
Yes, you have screen share. I'll make sure that you do. You should
Okay.
do so now.
All I was going to do here real quick is see if I can do this real fast. Yeah. Cool. And let me know when you can kind of see this. Okay.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Looks good.
Is that okay? Okay, so it's just a real quick, like I said, and I've been during this COVID period, I've been working from my little launch mission control here with individuals, working on these post-processing courses, one-on-ones I've been doing a lot of. I've been doing a lot of also just small groups, but it's to the point where it's like, hey, if you want to get together and just talk about your images, critiques, etc. I love doing it. So feel free absolutely anytime to shoot me an email. It's joseph@josephroybal.com. You can also get me on my website. And working on images, we could work on my own, we can work on yours, but the idea too is just to critique and go through on how to post-process for more complex images like some of these that require focus stacking, blendings for night sky kind of images when you're capturing different times of the day and making it all look as one, but capturing the scene and making it look real. Again, the focus stack, but going through these and working on the techniques of even the computer's running a little slow. Zoom always kind of lags me up, but going from before to after and how to see a photograph from when you capture it and seeing the raw file, working into then how do you want this to end up and how do you want that file to look at afterward. How do you take just a really drab kind of like beautiful reflection in the morning but no skies and still make something kind of pop out of it, and kind of taking these photos from beginning to end. So yeah, you can also grab that ebook that I have on my site, and it just has kind of like my 5 that I find landscape photographers scenarios we find ourselves in, wind, water, oceanscapes, etc. So that's my little spiel, but thanks to you guys for bringing me on again. I love it, and it's truly a pleasure and honor to be here.
And the title of this is Tangled Victory.
I like it. That's a an apropos name. I like that. So really looking at this and then seeing the V, it works really well on that. And then the lighting, the dodging, the burning really makes that it sticks out. And whether or not that was really done with not a lot, but like dodging, burning, or if that's just, it looks like there's some actual light on the tree. So I do like that. And again, the positioning of the the redwoods behind seemed to work really well with isolating it and bringing it to the foreground. So, that being said, and just photographs like these are always challenging in rainforests and forests. What I was going to say with that is like finding and isolating a subject is also really challenging. So doing that with this and bringing that to the foreground is great. Truly not much like in the way of like critique on the negative side, or just more of like constructive side. Truly pretty good on isolating that subject, bringing it forward. I would put this in about the 8 range for that.
Did you comment about what you think could improve the photo too?
So sorry, I kind of did. One of the things that is to be thoughtful of when working on images like this, and again, it's looking at this through the computer screen. So to the photographer, these are simply some observations. On this upper left portion of the gnarled bit of that tree on the left side, the left V, if you will. 2 things, like sometimes clarity can get a little bit overdone, and it's just a thought. It looks like it might have a little bit of clarity done to a degree that kind of makes them look either high or low. They can look a little bit unnatural. And on this upper left portion, it looks like it was brought out of the shadows a little bit extremely. So which I understand why that was done, to try to make it stand out. But it's okay if that's kind of in the shadows a little bit more than it would have been on its brethren side of the right side, which is fine. And so just kind of watching some of these processing bits so you don't go for an unnatural separation. And then there's to the left of the tree branch, like the V, and then the redwood on the left in the background, there's a little bit of a kind of lighter bits from the black to the tree in the far back. It's hard since I don't have a mouse here, but to exactly point it out.
Okay. Next. The cold weight of winter.
This is truly pretty captivating. I love just the central aspect of this tree, just right in the center, and how it's going left, right, and vertically. And again, being, with a lot of this negative space around, it's almost like a reverse vignette. This photo, really, I like it quite a lot. One of the things with an image like this, I would honestly probably leave it in color. A photograph like this, sometimes you could think, the reason why I'd say color is because you have some of the reeds that are still in orange and red. And so that helps it stand out and give it some pop. So definitely, I would say color with this.
It's supposed to be, I think it
is
color.
Yep. So what I was going to say, and this kind of follows through and true with the rest of the evening, I'll always explain or say, and even when I'm editing, if color doesn't make your photograph, don't be afraid to go black and white. If it's just if it's a bluebird day, try black and white. But what I was going with that was thinking at first, maybe this would be good black and white, and then I backtracked. This is great. Truly, not a lot that I would say, I love the tamarisk and everything in the background, this separation. I like that it's almost like a reverse vignette. You almost could try a vignette on the outer edges to really hold the eye a little bit to the center, but eye goes there pretty well anyway. Man, really pretty good. On the one, little things to think about on images like this, and it's hard. The reeds in the foreground that are vertical are all helping this image because there's many of them, so they don't stand out as your eye goes to it as a negative space. There is this one little branch on the bottom left corner that's kind of seems like it's laying on this side. It's in the snow. It's sideways. So that little branch that's out there and some of those little rocks and some of the little specks in the snow, those are little things that I would clean up, and it would just help keep that bottom left portion as pristine white as the bottom right portion. But yeah, I mean, this is a 9.
Okay. Why don't you stay there? But this is, the 9 is The Cold Way to Winter by Terry Hanford. Are you here, Terry? Just tonight, but okay, why don't we go ahead with the F8? See, lean into it. This is
Perfect.
a black and white.
Yeah. So this is perfect. And, you know, a perfect example, and I think a use of going for that when color otherwise might be a little bit dull or boring or just not as like captivating, converting to a black and white and really working on the, the color channels here like has been done to make the sky go black and then those clouds go completely white like this. I love that. I also really like the cropping of the 2:1 or the more, the 2:1 16:9, just to isolate this tree and give that the focus. Kind of probably, I'm guessing that the sky above these clouds was a bit empty, and if so, good job on breaking that down. Um, Also, pretty serendipitous in that the clouds behind the tree were there because they helped bring it, give it the separation. So that's also just one of those, good job on the eye for this to see that when taking the shot. Yeah, really pretty good. The thing that's kind of like pulling my a little bit is these the shrubs, the pine trees and whatnot down on the horizon line on the bottom right. Um, and it just looks as if there's a little bit of like a kind of like a halo-ish, if you will, between the trees and then the sky behind them just below the clouds. And this again is on the bottom right, the trees that are kind of going off, and then you've got the sky behind the trees. So that being said, I I don't want, just watch those things, and because it kind of detracts, if you will, makes it look a little unnatural. And though everything else looks really good, a 9.
King of Windy Ridge.
Again, really nice, and I like that this is kind of hailing back a little bit towards, well, that these are both black and white. I like that this is black and white, and I like the tones in this one as well. Um, a little bit, like I said, hailing back, throwing back a little bit, kind of that older, almost more film-ish look, um, where the tones are soft. Uh, Looks good, and I like again, that the clouds are separating here to the tree in the foreground. This bristlecone are these bristlecones? I'm just taking a
Yes,
guess, or
yes.
um, one thing to think on here in an image like this is there's a lot of activity going on the left half of this photograph. You have the clouds on like the predominant side of the frame are the clouds. They're on the left. This taller tree is on the left. And then you have fewer elements on the right hand side. So it ends up kind of making this photograph feel a little bit left heavy. So as to say, if we would have shifted ourselves a little bit to the right, we could have taken this cloud and put that cloud potentially a little bit to the right of this taller pine. And then it would be, I don't know how it would look, but it would just be an idea to try when setting these images up. It's just watching for that balance in a frame. But again, I like that this cropping is a little bit non-traditional. It's more of the, can't tell if it's 1:1 or almost 4:5, 5:4 there, but I like that. Watching the dodging burning, just to make sure that there aren't the separation halos between your foreground and background. The pine up in the sky and around the clouds has a bit of like, it looks like it has a little bit of a haloing white edging on that. So just being mindful of that. And if you see something like this, try reducing your dodging or burning or your radial filter or using your range masks in Lightroom. But otherwise, like I said, I love the tones. I do really love the separation of things here. So I would say though, an 8.
See, on the mountainside,
It is, truly is. clinging to life. So on this one here, my thoughts are a little bit that my eye goes more to the third, third from the left, if you will, or the first there, the tree kind of on the right. My eye really goes there. So that's a good thing. A vignette could be great on this image here to hold the eye right there a little bit. I love that. Again, we've got a lot of clouds in these, and that's really great. All the clouds in all these photographs. It's making me jealous for the last times I've been out in the field. I've had no clouds. I love this, and I love the white, the blue, and the green, and the gold. So when you're thinking of, the color wheel, and you think of the complementary colors and the primary colors, you've got, and in the secondaries, you've got a lot of that in here. And so I like the simplicity of that. It's a comfortable photograph. I'm just curious to know what the whole photo looked like, and or taking, I'm sure that there's a good reason for, but taking this cropping and leaving it as is, but just sliding it a little to the left so the tree on the left has a little bit more breathing room, I generally call it. The tree on the left is going into the frame, into the edge of the frame, kind of getting cut off. So if there's not that breathing room, a lot of photographers will go and, if you will, take the spot healing tool, or in Photoshop, the content with the spot healing tool. Is it called that there? I'm just drawing a blank, but almost
Content
kind
aware,
of.
you probably mean?
I'm sorry?
Content aware?
Yeah, content aware, and then it's the little brush icon. It's kind of the Band-Aid brush in Photoshop. And just kind of brushing in a little bit on those to give the separation. So you've got cloud and then tree, just to break that up a little bit. But other than that, I like this a lot. Just like I said, the colors are just really simple and soft. I would say a 7 though. Just some things to look at there.
there, Bob? There. Frozen Finnish forest.
So this is almost kind of like
Finnish as in Finland.
Right. Thanks. Like, this is almost a little bit like you know, it has like kind of some of like overlays on it. It looks like a bit, um, towards almost a little bit more like a painting. Again, going for these colors, you got the red, the green, you know, so those naturally work well in the opposings. The white is great, you know, and definitely feels very wintry, which is, I like it. I really like that. And really on this one here, it looks as if the photographer was really going for almost like I want to say like an artistic style image. Um, so judging it on a little bit like that, because it looks like it's been um, edited to that degree with the harsh lines and the kind of almost like the noisiness to it in some areas. So but I like it. And so with that, I just am getting closer to my screen to see it a bit better. And then again, you know, I like seeing that these 2-to-1 crops. So keep doing that when necessary. Yeah, with that, you know, I'm not one that edits this way, so I am trying to say like I like the way that this is put together on that regard. I would say though, like to some degree, like these can get a little bit harsh on the harsh. The editing is, it's kind of that clarity that I was mentioning earlier, but that's also a style. So I would say a 7.
Reaching for the sun.
So I really like the setup for this one. Coming in from the side, reaching up, you really get that feel that it's going up towards the sky. I love that, and I love, you know, the positioning of where the sun's at, or would this be the moon? Trying to, you know, kind of look at that in a way. Um, Going from the left up into the frame, and then, you know, the brighter part of the image is right kind of in the basket, if you will, right there. So a photo like this could be one of those where trying black and white could be an idea. Also, which I appreciate that the shadows haven't been tried to be cranked up on this, but trying maybe, and maybe they have been worked on, but this is a good stopping point, just so the tree isn't looking artificial. So I like that. It is just a little bit on the dark side, so that's why I thought maybe black and white could potentially work, but then the photo might be too black and white if you did that, thinking about the blue sky. Think of a vignette on a photo like this. Just up on the upper portion, the right-hand side, you know, the bottom left, it would just help hold the eye a little bit better into the center, since the eye goes to the darkest part of the frame and the lightest part of the frame. So keeping that in mind for just general commentary, the human eye always goes to the brightest and the darkest portions of any photograph. So if you have a very, very, very dark or black spot in your photo, like here in the kind of trunk of the tree, the eye kind of comes back to it, and my eye kind of keeps coming back to that and then going off. But there is enough movement in this photo to keep my eye kind of running around. So yes, just thinking of that. But good job on the composition and thoughtfulness there in placing or in placement of these elements in the frame. An 8.
Okay, we have 1, 9 leaning into it. That's by Cliff Stockdill. You're here, Cliff?
Yeah, so
Okay.
Yeah, this is just a tree at Chatfield Park, and one that I've seen a lot of time, down there walking the dog, and always imagined it pictured with, dramatic storm clouds behind it. And, since we had no storms this summer, this is a picture at high noon, bluebird sky. So I thought black and white would work better. I just worked on it with Nick Silver Effects, and it's about it. Yeah, I did crop out a bunch of boring sky on the top, as you noted, and that's really it.
Cool. Very nice.
Thanks, Cliff.
Well, good job. Yeah, good job, Cliff. Like I said, black and white. It worked on this one. You're right. Good call.
We'll go into F11 now. There's first 3 photos will be black and white. Whoops, is that? It's a foggy morning on the parkway. Is that right, Bob?
It looks good.
Okay.
Okay. So I really, this is one of those images you look at and it just takes you back. Makes me think of, some old Civil War. I don't know. It just makes me think of just some, ancient time, kind of older time. I love the processing. I love the color of this, the more of the sepia kind of colorways there, the golden brown tones. So I love that. And Larry, I'm going to ask you, since you have the screen, you or Dave or whomever has the screen, for sharpness, since I can't click and zoom in on, say, for example, the leaves on the right-hand side of this tree, just to see for sharpness of it. But some of those things.
I don't control. Bob's got control of it. I don't know if you can zoom in or not.
How about this? I'm going to try something here, guys. This is going to pop up on someone's screen, and it's going to ask you if I can click. Okay. So let me know. I don't want to mess anything up here. I'm just going to try this. So and it's not letting me, but that's okay. So just looking at this though, like I really, and Bob, we can zoom back out now. Thank you. I love the spacing or the kind of the weight of this photograph and how the fence leads the eye into the frame. And then you have these giant older trees and then this perfectly placed, I would say, negative space up here in the right-hand side of the screen. It just really, I just really like it. It gives me just a warm feeling, a fuzzy feeling. So, I mean, this photo here, I love it. On the saying like on the better, or working on or trying to, come up with, some little tips here. On the very, very, very bottom right, there is, and this is nitpicking to the photographer just to make a note. On the bottom right, there is a very, very, very minor amount of lighter earth or lighter frame. It's just very small. And that's on my screen. So it would be just to simply say like taking a burn brush or taking a tool and just darkening that so the eye doesn't hit that, since the edges are also dark on the bottom. And that would, that's truly, again, nitpicking on something that I think is a really great image. I like it. I would, a 10 on this one. Just the feeling it gives me. I really love that.
Perseverance.
Ooh. I love the black and the white, and I love the Joshua trees. You know, really, really a cool shot. I love the rocks, you know, just really neat, really neat, a really neat photo. You know, great job on going black and white. Great job on just kind of going on a like a more, you know, what am I trying to say here? You know, well, black and white. That I would say is just great for this type of a shot. Um, Going back a little bit to something I said earlier, watching out for or being careful on the editing, to just be careful of this, like on the upper left, and the clouds look a little bit grainy, a little bit pixelated perhaps on this upper left portion. It's hard for me to tell exactly, but Bob, if you could click in that upper two, like upper 1/3, that upper left area, yeah, right there. You know, just if, yeah, like just making note of little things like that. It looks just a little bit like something's kind of going on in those clouds. And am I correct, Bob, on that end? Is it, you know, since that's on your screen, is that looking as well like a little bit? I just want to make sure it's not just connection. Yes, no.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, that being said, thank you, Bob. Yeah. That being said, so thinking about that, just watching for things like that, because those in competitions will, just like tonight, you know, and that will be something that the judge will notice and make note of, and it will pull from the overall score, or you know, your consistency, if you will, consistency. So watching that. Other than that, you know, I love that like everything's set up the way it's set up, and just watching the editing really. But that being said, the black and the white go-to is great call. And I would say an 8 because it's overall really great. There's just some editing kind of deals in there that could be improved upon.
Sunrise at Handley Wildlife.
Okay. You know, it looks like that this was taken in very low light naturally, and I'm just looking at this, and then, you know, I do like the composition of the trees on the right, the peak on the left, and balancing this. The light behind these trees coming through, and kind of the mistiness. It seems like there's like a bit of a mist there. I like this glowy kind of look. The I think what's kind of pulling me a little bit is just the graininess in here, and that, you know, there's the banding as well that goes along with some of the graininess that makes me think that it was pulled or pushed really like kind of hard on and it kind of fell apart. The photograph fell apart a little bit. So I would be interested to see the raw or the original photo here, just to see how it looked out of camera, and then if also helping me learn to, as a judge at times, if that is true, my assessment of it being stretched or pulled, like the latitude, and then that creating this banding. And then sometimes when photographs are taken as a JPEG and then edited later, the banding is exacerbated, or it's enhanced because there's not as much latitude in the file itself to separate between the bit depth, if you will, all the different bit channels as the color goes from dark to light. Then they fall apart when you post process. So that being said, like, I love this setup. I really truly love that. it's the editing that's pulling me back on that, but that is something that can be corrected and learned. The photographic eye is another thing that's like, or is the thing that's like something that, you know, sometimes people really strive for, and I see that there's a great image here. So keeping in mind just on the editing side, paying attention to some of that, and that's kind of a, I don't want to say an easier fix, but you know, that's a definite skill that can be picked up differently, and I think is a little more on that learned side. So that being said, though, you know, I love the setup of it, but it is just really struggling. So I would say a 7.
I might mention that anybody that has a score of 7 on their photo, they can re-edit or resubmit it in another competition.
Oh yes, that's right. I did recall that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, the 7 still nevertheless affects their average score. Palm diamonds.
I love it. So again, going to this like black and white and then the soft color tones, the palette there, or the tones, I like that, where it's this softer grays and blacks. Um, I like that here. Like I said, it reminds me of more of like film kind of look. And then great job here, photographer, to the photographer for working with utilizing, you know, the higher aperture, smaller aperture, higher number to create and work with a sun star. Um, you know, photographing into the sun is challenging, and getting these little diamonds and bursts of light can also be very challenging as well. Um, I like this 1-to-1, or you know, this kind of square ratio here, eliminating a lot of the unnecessary, you know, on the side, the portion of the frame. Um, yeah, really, that would be a lot of my commentary. The one thing with photos like this, with the blue sky, and then if you have a palm tree that's green, you have clouds that are white, and the sun that's yellow, those colors can also be really beautiful in color. You know, a photo like this, you know, this, if you think the sky were to be blue, the sun's yellow, gold, the tree's green, you have these really nice colors. And if you think of the wheel, that would kind of, you know, they would complement each other. So this photo here, I think could also look really, really great in color, I think, just thinking about it on the other end of it. And then the palm bit being, you know, kind of how they are, the um, trunk. So good job on this image. And an 8.
Trees by the lake.
Cool. Great reflection, really beautiful side lighting coming across there. This looks like a sunrise or a sunset. You know, really nice. And you know, definitely really, really nice. And this is that kind of thoughts on the golds, the greens, the blues, that the colors just look really, really nice. Um, yes, good job. Some thoughts on composition with this image here, since that's something that, you know, every single one of us always we think about when we're taking a photograph, and we're always wanting to work on. The trees on this right hand side, 2/3, if you will, or third, at the top of the frame there, these trees are going into the edge of the frame, if you will, not having that breathing room between the tree and then the edge of the photo and any of the sky in there. So when taking and composing, you know, in the future, as just a general to anyone and everyone, including myself, I always think of this. just give your peaks, give your trees, give everything that, especially a photo like this where, you know, you have trees on the left and the right, so that's not possible, but you do have this sky on the top that in effect acts as a bit of a border or a matting, you know, so thinking of that. Watching the sharpening or the clarity or the texture sliders, just so as to say it looks as if there's some banding around the edges of the pine needles and the blue sky in the background, just watching that. And getting closer, this photograph here I think is stunning, and this reflection is fantastic. If it were possible, I don't know, but going and getting closer to this reflection, going out onto this like little muddy bank or beach, and making it to where you don't have the mud in your foreground, all you have is just the reflection and then the trees and then this, you know, strip of land, and just these little things. But you know, immersing yourself in the photograph can always bring these to life. But I do love everything else. So just watching that, watching some of these reeds in the foreground, if they are in your frame, you know, so just kind of simplifying your photo is that. But good eye, good spot, good colors, just a little bit on the composition and editing. And 8.
Forces of nature at work.
I really like the sweeping angle coming in from this lower left. Just the way that the earth is kind of the textures and the striations there, how they're pulling the eye to this tree. Also the light above the tree coming down. I really like these elements and how the eye does tend to land right there on the tree and it keeps it there. My eye goes up, it comes back down, it goes into the lower left, comes up to the center, up to the light, and back down. Really, and that might be sand. It's a little hard to tell on that, but I really like the way that this is set up and the way the eye flows. And so the eye flow here is great. The Gaussian blur, or, you know, kind of like the softening effect, I love it. I use it. It creates depth. It creates, you know, it softens out these textures that would otherwise be harsh, like maybe sand or blades of grass or dead patches or rock. It helps those out. Just watching those so they don't end up looking as if it's, you know, a glamour kind of filter put on a photo. But I do like this. And so just watching that a little bit on this like sand, it kind of pulls a little bit, but I love the photo and I love the composition. Think on, you know, in this photo here, that sky could be maybe even a little brighter, or there could be a radial filter on the tree just to brighten it up a little bit. So the eye kind of catches there a little more. When I say things that could be like I'm thinking in my head if you were to do it, and then what that might look like. So it's just a process, you know, for yourself on that end to try, you know, in your editing software, be it Lightroom or Photoshop, but just give it a shot, see how it looks. Overall though, great. I would put this at a 9.
It's not Wanaka tree.
Very nice. Excellent reflection. So this is that kind of getting down, getting low, isolating, really, really, really nice. I really like this. Yeah, I just really like just the clean, simple, you know, feel to this. And I love the gentle and the soft radial filter, or just the focusing of the eye to these, you know, to the trees, to the leaves. It looks fantastic. And then also the reflection not being equally bright to the tree, because that's another thing that happens often. And this is great where it looks it's real. doesn't look real. It is real. So that being said, I love that. Really nice. I like the fact that there are leaves in the reflection. Naturally, there will be leaves because of just fall off. Sometimes, just to think, if you want, I will go into a lot of my images and images like this. If there's branches or if there's little things that might kind of be in the water, clicking on a few of them, just cleaning those up. Not all, because you want some of them, but some of them that may be in the foreground where you want, like, for example, the more focus of the eye to go to in the reflection of this tree. Just cleaning up a few, then like the eye doesn't get hung up on those leaves and it flows in the frame. Otherwise, great. I really like this, and it's really solid. A 10 on this one.
Tranquility.
Wow, it's beautiful. I love the golds. I love, yeah, just the colors are just so great. The side lighting, beautiful. Really nice. You know, so to the photographer, great job on setting this up. The side lighting is really, it's just stunning how it's, you know, on the sides of these aspens, really, really illuminating them. And the cropping as well. That's what I'm kind of doing with my hands here. You can't see it too much, but I like it. Overall, I mean, really, I like it. And I like this little kind of like more empty space on the bottom right. It's really nice. It's a little negative space. Truly, like, not a lot I would say would be like on the do better, do differently, you know, critiques on how I would possibly do that. Again, some of the things I think of, though, are depending on the photographer intent, the you know, where you're going and what you're wanting to go for. My personal style is one where it just is like you're there if you're looking at it, looking at the scene. I know that's not always the intent and always the photographer's ambition or the goal. So this being that looks a little more painterly, there's nothing wrong with that. So I do like that, and I appreciate that in this image. So that being said, that's a strong point. At the same time, I'm thinking, like, if it were less, if it would be a little more realistic looking is all I'm thinking. So, you know, post-processing is a very personal thing, so let that be noted. I would say a 9 on this.
Trees in the morning sun.
I love it. It's beautiful. Just the soft pinks and the greens. You know, I really like that with this light, you know, the side light coming through. Really nice. You know, my eye definitely goes to this tree that's kind of in the left, just on the left side, third, the vertical there. I like that. That's where my eye goes. I do kind of think, like, you know, I'm looking at these trees and kind of seeing back off into the distance that are purposefully, I believe, obstructed by these branches coming in from the left and the right, or just, sorry, from the right. And then we've got these pines on the left. But so it's definitely drawing my eye to this, there, pine, you know, the tree there on the left. That being said, a vertical crop on this potentially could achieve similar effect here. So my eye's not going off to the far left, and you're still going to have, or a 1-to-1, just kind of trying to bring in this right-hand side of the frame. So your eye really just gets these branches pulling you in, and then you see the tree right in the center of the frame. So that would either be a vertical, like a 1-to-1. Just try, see how that works. But otherwise, I like this color palette. I like these tones. It looks really nice. Yeah, just some of that. Otherwise, though, like the processing looks pretty good. Greens potentially look a little bit bumped down in the bottom right and on the forest floor. They look a little bumped on that saturation slider. So just noting that. But that's easy again, just to correct if that's your goal or something you would take from that or this commentary. Otherwise, good. I would do an 8.
Dreaming of Fall.
Very nice. Incredible reflection. Great job. I like the reverse of this, the purposeful intent.
Excuse me, Joseph. Bob, could you shrink your left panel? There. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So sorry. So I really appreciate the photographer's intent purposefully to kind of flip this and give when taking or composing, putting the sky on the bottom versus the top, making this a little bit more, like a little bit non-traditional in that effect or that way. Here, I feel that this blur, this Gaussian blur, just kind of the Orton effect on this, I like it. I really do, and I like how it adds that ethereal, dreamy vibe feel to this photograph. The color palette is great. You got the golds, the blues, the yellows, the reds, the greens. It's really nice. And I like the crop long. So really, really excellent job. Perfect, great reflection. This is a 10. Yeah. Ooh.
Tree Monster.
Editing is on point. I really love this editing. I love just so when I see this style, or this for me, when I see this one here, I really like the way that the bark is just really, it really jumps out at you. I like this a lot. I like the dodging, the burning, the keeping the eye focused in the center of the frame. I like the name because it does kind of look like that as well. Crop is great. And I see here probably, I am noticing that there's a little bit of like the tree that kind of cuts into the frame, or out of the frame, or out of, the cropping kind of, you see a little bit of the background there. So trying to keep this, I think I see like on the bottom right there, the bottom right third, probably the photographer intent on the crop to get as close to these burrs as possible, but then also are the cuts, I guess. My brain is thinking photography, not trees. So I like this a lot. Really, really well done. Not really a lot on the critique aspect of it. I'm sure that the crop was tried to keep kind of that green little bit on the bottom right out. If that's not possible, this is great. But 10.
Renewal.
Beautiful. I love the blues, the grays with the green. The colors there just work so well. and I'm sure that this was noted when you were taking this photograph. That's what kind of drew you in, as well as this just tree being so unique in its own, and then the young one right in front of it, the dead and the old, all that. So really, really nice, really nice. So with an image like this, so like I said, truly, this is great. I love the intent, the composition, showing this, this kind of the trunk, if you will, kind of how it's going and where it's going off to the left, on the left side both, and then up out of the frame. Keeping that in mind, this photograph truly, in my mind, when I'm looking at this, the photograph is about this younger tree and then the old kind of, the dead tree. So getting closer to this and framing it to the point to where you're almost looking just at this green little pine, and then all you see would be surrounding it would be this old dead tree. And even putting that little pine tree in that black gold kind of notch in the center of this thing could be something that could work really, really, really well. So when setting up, that's something that could just be thought of, if you were ever back at this tree, think about trying. But I like it. I really, really like it. Good colors, good setup. A 9.
Six in a row.
This is pretty great. I love that. And then seeing the static snowfall as well. Very, very good job. Very nice on capturing, shutter speed, capturing that, really nice. And so cool. Yeah, that's great. The side lights, great, giving it the depth, in the frame. And how you have this, like, you have the close, medium, and far when you have the little trees, the mid-ground, and then you have all of the forest in the background. So I love that. And then just the fact that it's a perfect, big, billowing snowstorm. Crop's great. A photo like this, just curious, I love the black and white on here. I'm just curious, this is looking like maybe like a morning photo, what the gold would look like, kind of this side light coming in, really warming up that scene. You have the green trees, the white snow. The shadows are going to be cool, so you'll have that gold and the blue kind of contrasting each other, working with each other on that, just as a thought. But otherwise, really, really nice. Man, that's great. I'll say a 10 just because I really like that. Like, it's really just unique and not something you would see every day, I don't think.
Parched.
This is a location that would be so fun to go to. So nice job on going. Really, blues, reds, golds. It's all just so great. Like I was saying here, that's what I'm looking at. I'm thinking the colors, everything just works so well. And such a great, setup as well. One of the things, just this is a photo here again that kind of is dealing with a lot of left-weighted, left side interest, if you will, and the fact that not any fault of a photographer, the sky just happens to be blue, and which is, I think, kind of common. So having shifted a little to the left, if possible, would have put the tree to a little bit of the right of the larger dune in the background, giving a little bit of that upper right. You would have, in the right-hand side of the frame, you would have had the tree. You would have had the dune on the left. So, but again, not being there, it's not fair or possible for me to truly say, do this, you should have done this, but that's just my feel for this. That would also perhaps eliminate some of these like the bushes, the shrubs in the foreground that are a little distracting. It would clean up that foreground a little bit so you could see this dune a little more, because the dune, you know, these, if I'm not mistaken, this is in Namibia. These are like, you kind of want to see that, and it's a really large focal point, but color-wise and palette, I like it. It's really great. An 8.
Oaks to the river.
Really nice symmetry, excellent use of line, you know, leading lines. This just line taking you straight out. Incorporating the human element in this is great. And, you know, that this was taken more or less looks like midday with the way the shadows are coming straight down. You're not getting any of that cast left, right, forward, back on the, you know, from this. It looks like this guy, the sun was directly overhead. And so that being said, light coming straight down, this is very symmetrical. Light overhead, tunnel going down. I really like this. This photograph here might be too much on the black and white. Things might not work because a lot of darks here, but it could look pretty great with this dappled light. Just as a thought. But this image here, if you didn't even do that, there's no harm in taking and creating a very unique cropping as well. So if this were to be taken equally, leave the width, leave it as is. But if you were to take the little lock off in Lightroom and drop the sky down further, so you get more of like a true, just a thin little photo, you wouldn't have the blue sky in some of this area up here that, you know, my eye kind of keeps going to, and my eye would be focused more so down this, you know, the tunnel of the trees. That being said, really nice, really great. Colors are nice. A 9. I really like the symmetry of it, and just all things considered.
Joshua Tree Twilight.
Really beautiful. The colors are so soft, and the pastels. You know, I love the separation here, foreground to background, on the depth. Well, by utilizing depth of field. You know, the foreground being sharp, the background being soft, the pastels. It has a very just deserty vibe, and I love deserts. Very hard to photograph because there's so much going on in them. So looking at this one and seeing the isolation of this, it's the simplicity. I really like that. Really nice. Really nice. I don't ever say to oversaturate a photograph. I never go that path on encouraging that to, you know, take a photo and make it look unnatural. I do like these pastels in the background. I'm just wondering if taking in Lightroom or whatnot, like some of those pinks and the yellows in the background and bringing them up just a little bit more. So you have a little, and not a lot, just a little bit more of a pop in there. But that's not exactly necessary. So I really like this though, a 9.
We have 5 10s. That's the end of the F11s.
Really good job so far, everybody tonight. These are really great images. All of them, really.
Thank you, Joseph. This is Foggy Morning on the Parkway by Gwen Patton.
Yeah, it was early in the morning on the Blue Ridge Parkway in Virginia.
Okay, yeah. It has that feel. Like I was saying, it really, like honestly, I was gonna say Georgia. It made me feel like it was Georgia. Really, so cool.
So that's it.
Good job.
Thanks, Gwen. Let's see, that's Dreaming of Fall by Sean Slade.
Thanks, Joseph. I was nervous about this one because I purposely pushed that Orton effect to
Yeah.
cause that dreamy feel.
Sure.
So I was very nervous, but yeah, I intentionally, cropped down on the trees at the top and left the sky at the bottom. I was driving back to my hotel on a business trip and drove by this park. This is in Troy, New York, and this little lake, and the trees in the background just caught my eye. So I whipped around and went into the parking lot and started shooting some shots.
Awesome. Sometimes, it's amazing how many photographs created by some of the best photographs, not the best photographers, some of the best photographs ever created are those photographs that are truly on the side of the road.
Yeah.
You know?
This is literally on a main thoroughfare through town.
There you go. So yeah, keeping your eye open, having your gear ready, just being ready to go. And, like you said, you're a bit trepidatious, a bit nervous on the whole, like Orton, because it can overdo it. But like I said, on this photo, just the way it makes that moss, like just glow and everything in this, the greens and the golds, it just made it, I think, work. So, having that, mindfulness of being careful and on other edits is great. And on here, I think it worked well.
Thank you.
It is not Wanaka Tree. That's also by Sean.
Oh, nice.
So I appreciate your comments on this. This was the same day I had been up in Northwest Massachusetts for business meetings, and on the way back to the hotel, I drove through. This is in Shaftesbury State Park in Southwest Vermont, and I was just wandering around, and this tree on a little pond in the forest just caught my eye, and I snapped several shots of it of different angles. And while maybe not as iconic as that tree in New Zealand, I wanted to give it a name that maybe it will someday become secondly iconic. But I toyed with it. It's funny you mentioned cleaning up a little bit in the water, because I went back and forth, kind of down there. You can see a little bit of green grass and a few branches and stuff. I went back and forth and I didn't clean it up. So I appreciate you being kind on that.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, it's hard. Like these photos, like reflections, water are tough because you'll get, you can spend 6 hours trying to clean up water. Yeah, good job. Like, just kind of cleaning up some little things. I appreciate that. And yeah, overall, really a beautiful shot.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean. Tree Monster by Victoria Ashby. Victoria, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay.
there you are.
Okay, yeah. I really like to photograph wood. And so we were in Rocky Mountain National Park, and I saw that face in the bark of that tree, and I just liked it. So I photographed it and then just worked on it in post-processing to make it, look the way it does.
Great job. Are you, just curious, Victoria, are you utilizing luminosity masks, or how are you kind of getting your just real clean edits on that?
What is it I use? The new one.
Lightroom.
No, Lightroom, and then I put it into, oh shoot, the name of it. What's the one I just got? The one with the blue one with the layers?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but well, that's for you to know. If you get that, you could maybe share that with the group and
Yeah, I'll share it with you before we get off.
Yeah, but I know you and Lucius are, you guys are really great, strong photographers, and this is really a great shot.
Thank you. is the name of that program? Oh,
I think, Victoria, is it Luminar that you have?
yes, it's Luminar.
Luminar. Okay. Okay. Excellent.
This is 6 in a row by Bill Rothenmeier.
Okay, this was taken in Breckenridge, Colorado. Fortunate to have a snowy day. There's not much post-processing done with this. It was basically mostly like this out of the camera.
Cool. Yeah, it's beautiful. Really, really, like I said, it's great. Do you? It's truly. Did you try it in color? Just curious, and just kind of like with just. I don't know how it looked. If it was like warm that morning, the color temps, or if
Well,
it
this
was
is color.
Oh, this is color.
Yeah, I
God,
did try it
okay.
in black and white. I wasn't really satisfied, but there's a lot of different programs. I didn't use them all. It may have worked with some.
Well, okay, so there you go. Like this, that's interesting because like I said, you heard my critique. I was like, this is black and white, tricolor. That's incredible that this was color. So that being said, good job. The fact that this is pretty much straight out of camera.
Yeah, well, I appreciate your comments.
Yeah, really, great job. And like I said earlier, these crops, these 2-to-1 crops, so these just kind of eliminating the unnecessary on the tops, bottoms, whatever, they really help. So, the fact that you did that the way you did and left these little trees, like the spacing between on the left side, the pine tree and the frame, the top there, that breathing room I kind of mentioned, that's what I was noting. And on the bottom too, just really, really nice on that comp.
Yeah, the major edit I did is I took some off the top, which wasn't
That's it.
interesting.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you.
Okay, that finishes F11. We now go into F16. This is Moon Prayer.
Awesome. Balance is great. Eye movement, my eye goes straight to the moon. Really, really nicely done. Composition, cropping, this is definitely like on that thinner, longer. I think my initial comment is that, or thought is that this is not a 2-to-1. This is more of just create your own, and which makes for when you're doing these, you're really going for like the stronger of the photograph, what makes sense. Or this could be a panorama as well. Sometimes these longer widers can be panoramas. Great job. Point being here, really nice job. Layers, going off into the distance and the hills. Yeah, great, really nice. And I'm guessing this is moon just by that there's the stars. So thoughts would be foreground on this lower left and kind of the desert floor here is a little bright, just a little bright. So my thought would be kind of just darkening those highlights, because and with what is it, Lightroom, when you do like a grad filter from the bottom up, and if you did a darken or like a shadows, you can use the range masks and isolate just the highlights. So you wouldn't necessarily darken the shadows and the blacks, because you don't want to darken the blacks in some of this. It would be too dark. Again, that's like where your eye goes, is into the hole. So, because the top and the outer edge of this whole top, it looks like there's a bit of a vignette. And so I wouldn't say throw a vignette on this, because then the sky is going to get too dark. Then that would keep my eye kind of going, this kind of, I don't know the name of these trees. It goes up, you got the moon, you got the peak, and then my eye kind of comes down to the desert floor and gets held up a little bit. That being said, I love this. It's great. I would give it a 10. Really nice job. Great work. If this is a twilight photograph, kind of darker scene, I would just be interested to see this photo in color, because my thought would be that the sky would be kind of blue, purple, the foreground would be kind of blue, gold, maybe. I don't know. I'm just curious, like how this would look in color too.
devastation.
Man, this hits home right now for, for so many of us in Colorado and the West, Northwest. I like the harshness, the contrast, the clarity adjustments. I really like how this is a very, contrasty frame. It works, like as a juxtaposition to Sean's photograph with the Orton effect. This photograph here with this works really well. I like that. I do. I am. And truly what I was about to say here is what I'm trying to look for is I'm looking for the subject. And that is, I feel it's this center burned out tree. So, I do like how this hills on the right come down. You have the hills on the left and you have this tree right in the center. Really nice on that. Sometimes when areas are burned out and then in black and white, if there was no green in this scene, if the sides of the hills or if everything was like brown and that, I think black and white is the best route to go. Sometimes with the new growth, the green with the black can be beautiful. So I don't know if this had any green to it, just a thought. But overall, I like it. An 8.
Oh, Joseph,
Yes.
well, I was just going to ask how you would suggest improving the devastation photo.
The devastation, okay, so improvement on the devastation photograph. My thoughts would be, I'm sorry, yeah, I did not mean to just drop that part. Looking at this peak on the upper right, that area there, that separation line between those little trees on the horizon to the peak in the background, there's a little bit of a white area, a lighter area, and kind of in that, and that can be from air, it can be from just atmosphere, it can also be just watching the editing and making sure that like some of that like gradient filters, etc. Those transitions go smoothly into one another. Thank you, Larry, for bringing them back. Watching the sky, everything looks, the one thing is like clouds. Clouds are always, in my mind, I like clouds to look soft because clouds are soft. Not often do you have those mammatus clouds and, really stormy clouds that you want them to kind of look, gripping and kind of terrifying. When I'm looking at photographs like this and, a lot of just images, when you sharpen your image in your photograph, Lightroom has a little bit of a secret technique, and maybe I can show that at the very end here, or I can just explain it here. When I sharpen a photograph, this here, like when you're doing clarity and texture, that can create these kind of clouds to look a little bit kind of harsh. That could be avoided with using a gradient filter up from the bottom so you don't hit the sky, something like that, if you want to do clarity. Otherwise, when you sharpen as a whole, in Lightroom, when you're sharpening, you can bring up your sharpening slider up. Bring it up. 2 or 3 slides down, it's right there next to it, it's masking. And if you hold your Option key down, and then you click on that little slider tab and you start sliding to the right, your screen is going to turn completely white. And then as you drag to the right, that screen is going to start turning black. And what it's going to start doing is showing you it's going to take away the sky and it's going to just start focusing on sharp edges. And Lightroom knows how to isolate that. And that way you won't get the sometimes over sharpening of clouds. So that just being said, this here, the clouds look like they're a little over sharp. Sorry for the digression there.
That's okay. Thanks, Joseph. So what was the score on that one? On devastation?
I think it was like an 8.
An 8. Okay. This is elk expressions.
Excellent composition, really, really great. It reminds me of a photograph from, like Ryan Dyer, or I'm trying to think of somebody else. But just really excellent on this separation, aligning all these trees, really, really, really thoughtfully, very thoughtful on this composition. It's great. Black and white, I like it. The crop, I love it. Excellent job. I see these, I love color, so I see these photographs like this and I just think, I wonder what it looked like in color. But black and white, it works great. On a photo like this one here, on the maybe better side of, just, or to how to like maybe enhance an already great photograph like this, is this bark that's white, kind of bringing up some of these, like the whites and the shadows a little bit, bringing up those whites just so they pop equally to like this tree on the right that's leaning off to the right, and you have the center tree kind of leaning a little bit to the left. Both of those lights kind of making them match those parts that are in the shadows, so they pop equally. They match essentially. But I love it. It's a great shot. Really a great shot. Editing also looks really good, aside from just maybe kind of like balance. Just think of balancing on that. And I really would give this a 10 though.
What was the score?
10, a 10.
Oh, 10, okay. Peaceful giant.
So when we talk about the movement coming in from out of a frame, lines leading your eye into the frame, the way that this just rolls and flows in, I really like that. It takes the eye on the journey into the frame. Excellent job on that. The thing I would think on here a little bit is just I'm trying to think here, like thinking on the subject of what is intending to be photographed. Like the tree, I can see that, and I'm just thinking on if getting a little closer to the photo, or to the tree would work, just to kind of clean up a little bit of this shrub and brush here to the right on the bottom. So that's not really in the frame, or even getting a little bit closer into the right, so then you have the tree coming in a little bit. But I know that the water was also a focal point in this guy, so this is a photo that's like truly tough to pull together, and you did, just thinking on how to kind of bring it out. But just kind of focusing on the eye, or like where you're wanting the eye to go, thinking on that, and working there. I would say an 8.
Autumn gold.
I love that, now that we're in fall, seeing these fall colors, it gets me so excited for fall color photography. So these are great. I love this really vibrant, the vibrant golds here, and just everything that's going on with this, within this frame. One thing that I've hit on it a few times tonight. It appears in this photo here, it appears that the trees, and maybe they are black, but they're very dark. They're very black. I know, like, I'm from the western slope, and we get these cotton trees. Or not we get these trees along the Colorado River out there, and they are more of a black barked tree, and so they have this kind of contrast with the color when they explode in color. But this here, maybe bringing that up a little bit, the shadows, the blacks, so there's not so much opposition, if you will, in the photograph, kind of competing for visual importance. So I love this though. I like the colors. I like just the vertical composition on here. The portrait. So great job. Though, kind of thinking on the darks, the blacks, bringing those up. An 8.
Misty sunrise.
Love that. Very powerful.
Yeah, photographs like this, I see these all the time, and I just love them because of these rare moments that you've got to be in the trees, you've got to be somewhere to capture it and put yourself, the trees between you and the sun. So I just love these photos like this. So great job. Really, really nice. On the better, that's the thing. Like I look at these here and it's like, man, if anything, this bottom right is a little dark just because there's just like kind of some weight on this bottom right. So it kind of pulls my eye to that little bit. But I also know that it's not always possible to get yourself further to the left if that's possible. So great job. Love this photo. Really excellent on the processing. I love the streaks, the lines, the energy in this photo, and also the star, like putting the sun there at the bottom of the frame and pinching it off like that, or pinching the burst. Great job. Really, really great. I'm going to still say a 10 just because it's just those rare moments that you don't see often.
Men in a tree.
I appreciate the creativity. I think here it looks mirrored. It'd have to be mirrored. It has a very Native American, to me, feels like kind of like Native American feel to it. I like the golds, the blues, that the Gaussian blur, the kind of the effect here to kind of soften that out. And that's what I was saying earlier, it kind of helps soften these areas that would otherwise be a bit harsh. And I like that, like I said, if that's true to be the intent, the mirroring there, and then seeing how some of this like creates the patterns in the trees. It really does. Really pretty cool. Photos like this, when I would on the creative side, when they're like this, a vignette maybe, to say like, hey, just try that. But the thing is the edges of this photo are dark. The bottom's pretty dark, so maybe even not that. A 9.
The eyes have it.
Really, for any of us and all of us that love to travel, we all do, but when you think of these moments that we haven't been able to experience this year, seeing other peoples and cultures, this really makes you, miss it. Beautiful photograph. Really beautiful. Just I'm kind of almost like speechless. This is beautiful. I'd give this a 10 just because it's like definitely like that level. It just pulls on you, and colors, everything looks great. The thing that like my eyes here go to their eyes, and that's, I think, like the key. So great job on not trying to over vibrance, over saturate, over brighten any of these colors in the photograph, keeping them really natural and true. and framing the little boy center and foremost center in the frame of the window frame. Great job.
Autumn Bridge.
I really like this. The feeling of almost like truly like a painting. I really like that. The feeling that it gives. I like this border that has been thoughtfully placed around the edge of the photograph. The color of the border is complementary to the colors within the frame. Really matches up well. The light, the direction of the light, the darkening of the upper left and the bottom right just works so well. The bright upper right, bottom left, that works really well. Just the way that the linear, the properties to this photograph, really beautiful. And also, fall. Maybe like when I'm thinking of like to be just thoughts that I might do on my end. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze here. This tree in the upper right that's a little bit dark due to a vignette or perhaps like a little bit some work done to kind of darken it. That tree there, I feel my eyes going there and wanting it to be a little brighter. Like I'm wanting those yellow leaves, yellow and the light bits of green, just that to be a little brighter, so it feels more like it flows with that center bright golden tree. Just those two. I mean, it doesn't have to be as bright, just a little brighter. A 10.
Winter Morning.
Really nice pattern here. Side light or light, kind of bringing this all together. I love the white and the black, the lights and the darks, and this is when kind of that works so well together. So this color or black and white could be great. Yeah, really nice job. And just the fact that this is the way that it is, I mean, all the details on the tree, every little branch covered in either the ice or the snow. One thought is that this tree in the upper left, the kind of some of this, the gnarl branch bit, and then this foreground that's out of focus. This photo here, I think the effect or the feel could still be achieved either in like the 2:1 crop or just going like longer, or just go in on like a normal, but just kind of bring in and eliminate a little bit of that foreground that's out of focus, that's not necessarily important to the frame. Likewise with this upper left is not necessarily important with the frame. The focus to me is this tree, the patterns. So that would just be my thought as a comment. But good job, great eye on spotting this and then capturing it. It would also help eliminate possibly that tree up in the background center of the frame-ish, kind of fuzzy off in the distance. But an 8 on this.
Life after disaster.
Yeah, so the greens and the blacks, like when you start seeing this new growth, just really it pops. And I love this S curve, the curved line, the green leading the eye into the distance. I love that, and I also like that you see the life exactly this photo as it's appropriately titled, before and after, and what comes. So really, really nice. Great job. Possibly, again, hard to 100% tell here, but possibly just watching your, like the saturation or some of the colors here. It looks like it, you know, Bob, if it's possible, can you zoom in on like just maybe this lower left quadrant, like the lower left third? Little high, yeah, right in that area. No, okay, it looks really pretty good. So looks great. So that's why I wanted him to zoom in. So thank you. Excellent, really nice, beautiful. To help focus the eye on this green, because I find that the green is such a focal point for me here. Darkening this, like kind of the burned out areas they're really bright and naturally so because there's not a lot there and they're just catching so much of this overhead sunlight. I can see that this lower left looks a little darkened, but you know, either just a normal vignette or just dodge burn with the brush, kind of just taking this lower left and then this kind of throughout the rest of the frame so that the eye catches this green, but gently. Otherwise, though, I really love it. A 9.
Weathered tree.
The placement of the two people walking right below, kind of below the sun, and you kind of got some of those streaks coming down, and then this tree on the right in the foreground, giving that depth. I really like that. I really do. Bob, can you zoom in on the sun, kind of right around the sun up there? Just in the clouds to the, yeah, that's perfect. And thank you for doing that. So it's looking to me too, just to see that in the sharpening, just be careful of the sharpening. Bob, do you mind zooming in on the tips of the tree, like on the very top pine needles of the tree? Bob, the pine needles on the tree up there at the very top. Yeah, thank you. Just so I make sure I'm okay. Okay, so what I think that I see here, kind of around those pine needles are a bit of kind of banding, if you will, just looking like they've been really, really, really sharpened, perhaps. So that's just, if that's truly the case, being mindful of that when you're sharpening the photo in Lightroom or whatever your system you're using, just kind of watching the kind of that haloing, not banding, haloing around the needles, anything you're using. There's a little bit, looks like a little bit of like haloing, kind of darker fringing along the trunk of this tree as well, like the clouds to the tree. And I think that has to do with a little bit of kind of clarity, ortony bits, kind of, you know, everything kind of competing. So just watching the editing. Compositionally though, I really like the intent and the effort here with the tree on the right, the sun on the left, the people off on the bottom left. Really nice job. An 8.
Paradise.
Beautiful, you know, just a nice paradise photo. I love the blues and the golds. Color, it's great. Yeah, just really nice on that reflection as well. Thoughtful crop, and nice job on the sky. Like just really, you know, like I do like how the colors are kind of amped up on this. The blues are brought up a bit. It works. It does look a little bit over sharpened or over clarity, just a little bit on that, just look a little crunchy, which can work. Just as a thought, again, I'm looking at it through the screen here, but that's kind of what I'm noting. So that being said, all that being said, good job on this symmetry and separation, you know, these trees. the foreground, middle tree, and these two opposing on the right and the left. I really like that. An 8.
An 8 could.
Yes.
What would you suggest for improvement?
Watching the clarity, watching the light on that area, on those areas there. Or not light. The sharpening, the clarity, just so it because it does just look, and then around the trees, some of the trees, like from the tree, the trunk to the water in the background, it's like there's a little bit of lighter bits of area around the tree to the water in the distance at the horizon line.
Okay.
So it's just like minor editing kind of.
Up close and personal.
Wow.
It doesn't have to be trees, so this is okay.
Right. Absolutely. Beautiful. Really, yeah, great job on, throwing something in that's different, just to switch this up a little bit. Beautiful shot. Absolutely gorgeous. And, something that when you think about capturing a moment in time that doesn't get seen a ton, also doing a great job from what I can tell on, it really is sharp. Beautiful. The vignette is great. The light, the focus of the eye is right there. And, really, really nicely done, especially on these two. And I'm going to have to ask, the photographer what animal this is specifically, because I just don't know. But unless somebody does know, can chime in. But beautiful. 10 on this. And on the betterment or the different or whatnot, I mean, truly, it's, if anything, you want it to look natural, Nat Geo kind of style. Wouldn't want to take, you do have blues and golds here. You could try playing with a little bit of that on the channels, color balancing. But other than that, it's great.
Surreal dream of barren tree.
Beautiful. I like this. What is it called when you use the kind of like the infrared almost style? And maybe this is infrared, but it makes me think of infrared. I really like it. I love the red. I like the colors on this, how it's shifted. Really great job. And so I'm kind of thinking here on negative space. If this photo were just a portrait style, does it necessarily need all of the sky on the left of this tree? Everything else I think is just great. So all I'm thinking about is just a vertical cropping on this, just to eliminate a little bit of that left side, because is it quote unquote necessary? Otherwise, technique, I really love the effort, the fact that if it is infrared, I love that. Great job. I would say though like a 9.
We have 6 10s. Moon Prayer by Danny Lamb. Are you here, Danny?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it was taken in Joshua Tree National Park after sunset. It's 30-second exposure. Yeah, the lower right corner is pretty colorful. It's right after sunset. But because the competition is focused on the trees, so I converted to black and white.
Okay. It's beautiful. Good job, Danny. Yeah,
Thank you.
I just thought it'd be interesting to see how it would be in color, but great job, and it's just really nice.
Thanks.
Thanks, Danny. Elk Expressions by Ron Schaller. Ron, are you here? Ron? he has some notes. Says a focused stacked image, slightly reduced clarity and contrast of grass, strong with some dodging and burning, increase the contrast and clarity of the aspens to emphasize the patterns made by elk.
Awesome.
So,
And what
thank
was his
you,
name again?
Ron.
Rom?
Ron's not here, I guess.
Yeah.
It says Misty Sunrise by Oz Fenninger.
I took this in Oregon just this fall. Well, about a month ago, and got down to the beach at before sunrise. And while I was there, the sun came up and lightly misty. So gave the rays. So I emphasized the rays a bit. At the bottom center, the bright area, I painted over with the kind of yellowish color because it was a little too bright.
Mm-hmm.
The dark area on the right is actually a rooftop.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't know what to do to make it less.
Good job.
It bothered me too.
No, but yeah, great job on the creativity there. Because for me, that works better to just think that this is a dark little area of pocket of shrub.
Yeah. What I did on the bottom right, on the level area, I made it look like there's a rock there, because it was a straight line. So I filled in with black there.
Good job.
Anyway, yeah.
Nice.
Used a 70 to 300 zoom lens. So anyway,
Okay.
that's it.
Cool.
Well, thanks, Oz. The Eyes Have It by Butch Mazuka. Are you here, Butch?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay.
Okay, I just popped in again. You know what? Something just occurred to me. Everybody, and I'll explain what happened here, but everyone submitted trees, and I think that I'm in the running, as far as photographer of the year. So I don't think these images should count. Just put them into next month, because next month I think isn't open.
No, we have themes like trees, but we're allowing any photos to be submitted. Because if you don't have trees, we don't want people going out and risking their health just to get a photo for the theme.
All right. No,
So we're going to keep your image.
Yeah, I was just using old images that I've never submitted anywhere before. So
unless you don't want a 10, you don't want a 10?
Yeah, on this image, it's taken in a school that my wife and I got involved in Kenya, and we went back a couple of years, and they are just the happiest children I've ever seen in my life. This is one of my favorite shots. I had to do a little bit of photoshopping, darkening the cement and that type thing, but they're just happy children. It was just a great experience.
It's truly a moving photo, Butch. So like seriously, like right now I look at it and I almost get a little teared up, just because it's just truly that you can tell they're just joyful. They're almost beyond happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can see that it comes through. So I mean, truly a 10, man. Good job.
Yeah. I thank the kids.
Well, yeah, thank the kids.
Butch. This is Autumn Bridge by Nancy Meyer. Are you here, Nancy? Nancy? Well, she has a note. Says this is the bridge at Hudson Gardens in the fall. So thank you, Nancy, wherever you are. up close and personal. This is also by Butch Mazuka.
Well, thanks. This was taken in Kenya, not far from the school where I took the other shot. If anyone who's been there, they'll understand. But seeing the wildebeest migration is a life-changing experience. It truly-
Wildebeest. Yeah. Beautiful, man.
Oh,
Look
to
at
answer
that.
your question, yeah, those are wildebeest.
Yeah, thank you. It's like I knew it, but I couldn't pull it, so I didn't want to just try. Like,
Yeah.
and then the sheer amount of them, quantity of them, like the numbers of them, like you see here in the background.
Yeah, the herds get up to about 10,000. We saw a couple of crossings that were 10,000 animals. And I think you have this one blown up. I think
it's a little enlarged right now. It is a little enlarged, yeah. But yeah, from its native form. But yeah, well done.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
exciting.
Thank the wildebeest.
Yeah.
It's good timing so you could get that front wildebeest tail just under the second
Yes.
wildebeest nose. That
I
was
asked
really
them
good
Larry,
timing.
I asked them to pose. It was perfect.
I was noting that for sure. The separation there between, the tail and the nose, the mouth.
You can be lucky or you can be good.
All right.
Okay, that's all the 10s for that. So were there any more comments or questions you wanted to make, Joseph? Or I don't know if you have any questions from the peanut gallery.
Well, yeah, commentary is, whenever I'm looking at any of these photographs, whenever I'm judging, whenever I'm, a judge at a contest or competition, anything, I'm always looking at, and so, tonight I saw some of it I didn't see. I'm looking for dust spots. I'm looking for over sharpening or sharpening, chromatic aberrations. So like where you get that like pink and green or blue and yellow, kind of like those edge shifts. And all of this is really, really easy to just either correct for or be mindful of to not get into, like over sharpening. So really just little thoughts there, just as a whole, as a global kind of commentary for the group. What I love to see tonight was I love seeing how, everybody is getting out or trying and submitting these images, new and old, and, keeping up with the club and the activity and being active. It was great. And so really great job. Keep pushing yourselves. Those photographs that I said looked like kind of photographic art a little bit. I want, again, like I said earlier, post-processing is purely personal. So let it be noted that if you're processing a photograph and you want it to look like a painting or pastel, kind of watercolory, whatnot, do you, and don't take 100% like what judges say. So just kind of follow your path, your vision with that. But great job tonight. It's been fun. It's been fun like seeing all of you here again. So it's been great.
Well, thank you, Joseph. We really appreciate your helping us become better photographers and all your suggestions for improving and what you like and
I
about
hope,
photos. And we had some really great images. And
really good, and that's the thing. It's like I hope my commentary is received properly and bring that out a little bit. Like because it's just my opinions, my thoughts, and it's not superlative to everything here. So
well, good. I don't see any questions from the peanut gallery. So Joseph, stay healthy and stay safe.
yeah, and everyone, likewise. So
wear your mask, damn it.
Yeah, Clifford, Todd, just seeing kind of these comments here. Yeah, thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah, Butch, keep up the great work, everyone. And anytime, doesn't have to be for, procuring me for a workshop or work or whatever. Just drop me a line if you have questions. I don't know. Just say, hey, I'm always contactable.
Well, good. You're at the top of our list.
Oh, thanks.
You're going to regret it.
Oh no, I don't. I don't. I love working with you all. So, and I saw, yeah, great. Thanks, Travis. Carol, I kind of sent you a little message earlier. If you're still on here, Carol Vandenberg, she's so great. I saw her earlier. So, all right, guys, is that it?
I think so, yeah. Dave, is that